Hey everybody, Andy from Phantom Fishing. Please share this video with anybody that's getting into fishing or new to fishing or whatever. This video is part of the fishing basics that I think are extremely important, and which a main reason why I started this channel is to help people learn how to fish and try to help. You know, I'm not the best fisherman, but I know a lot about fishing. I've been doing it forever, and so I just feel like I love to share the experience, and especially when it comes to getting new people into fishing, regardless if they're young or old. So this video about which fishing reel should I use that's all it is. It's a guide to help people figure out what to start with. All right, the basic bottom, I'm not gonna call it bottom, the basic first reel of every fisherman. And if you tell me you've never used one of these, I don't know, I think you're a liar. But whatever you wanna call this, it's a closed-faced, spin cast, push button, whatever you want to call it. This is the reel. This is the first reel that most people used. This is it. And it's probably a Zebco, but this is the easiest reel to use. You push the button, you cast it out. Really, you hold the button and let go when you cast it. All you do is change the drag tension on the little bitty bit of line that can go on this reel, and you just fish. It's easy. It doesn't unspool. It doesn't bird nest. It doesn't tangle typically. It's pretty easy reel to deal with. So this is the beginning. This is the reel that if they have no clue, or you have no clue, or you don't know what to do, this is it. It's pretty easy. Now, this is a, whatever you want to call it, open face or spinning reel or whatever. This is the reel that can start giving you issues, but it also is a very easy reel to use once you figure out how to use it. Do not ever get caught holding the reel like this and fishing with it because you want to use your right hand and the reel is on the left side. So flip it over, and a lot of reels go on top. Not this one. Oh, just so you know, this one goes on the pole with the trigger on the bottom. This goes on a pole that does not have it. So this is the way this reel goes. Most of them, you can take this handle off and put it on the other side, but you hold it like this. So now that we got that out of the way, decent size spools, all different kinds of size spools will hold different lines. It usually says on there. This is the bail. So what you're gonna do with this is you're gonna grab the line, flip the bail, usually hold the line at your rod, cast it out. Before it hits the water, you flip it over. The reason you don't let it land and then flip the bail over is you want to prevent twist in the line, plus you do not flip it with the handle. That creates twist. Also, always flip this over, back and forth with your hand. So beyond that, pretty much all you're going to do is control the drag. There is an anti-reverse, so you can let it spin the other way. I wouldn't advise you use that until you figure out really how to fish. I've never used it, but the bail flips over, you hold the line, you cast it, you flip it over, you reel it in, you put the handle on whichever side you want it, and it goes like this. It will not bird nest. I'll let you know what a bird nest is in a minute if you don't know what a bird nest is. But it can unspool, and that causes an issue for people that don't understand what's going on. Usually it's because the line's too thick. Make sure you get your line tight on there. Make sure it's done properly. There's some videos out there of how to spool your reels. Tackle Junkie has one. You should watch that. But yeah, that's the gist of this one. A little more issues with line sometimes, but very easy to use with finesse baits, small crankbaits. A lot of stuff can be used with this reel. The one thing that this lacks in is, as far as I'm concerned, is power and control. Meaning it's not as accurate usually, unless you're really, really good with it, and you can't control the fish as well. So, spinning reel. Now we move on to Baitcaster. This is the hardest reel of the three. This reel is going to be a little more in depth, but it's gonna have that power and that control and the accuracy that you're not gonna get from a spinning reel. This is used typically, most of these are designed for heavier baits, the bigger baits, regular bass baits, you know, 1/4 ounce to 1 ounce, but they do design a few of these, especially this Concept Z for the lighter bait, so you can use that. But the reason this one is a little harder is the casting. It can bird nest, which is the spool spins when the line stops. The lure hits something, it stops moving, but the spool's still spinning and it's spitting out line, and it's very bad for you. So if you don't know how to take those out, you will typically just waste a bunch of line. Also, the way you go away from that is another video that somebody can help you with of how to set it up. It's all has to do with tension and brakes, and you set it up to where the line flows freely at all points of your cast. So, click the button, you cast it. You're gonna throttle it with your thumb. Before it hits the water, you typically stop it with your thumb. That prevents the spool from spinning any further. If you really have it set up perfectly, you don't really even have to do that. Also, this is gonna have to be adjusted as far as if you're casting into the wind, high wind, low wind, different things, different distances, different weights of the lure. So this is definitely a little harder. Once you get used to it, you can put it on a general setting and learn how to use it. And I suggest if you're going with one of these reels, you turn the brakes up, turn the tensioner up, and you slowly start backing it up until you get comfortable to where it is, and then you will learn, and then you can back them off even more and actually do some stuff with it. So, Baitcaster, the hardest one of the bunch, the one most serious bass fishermen use. Okay, now, if you see a reel like this, this is a fly reel for a fly rod. Completely different thing. Don't go pick one of these up and put it on a rod and then, you know, give it to your son and say, go put a plastic worm on and catch a bass. That's not how this works. This is a fly reel. It goes on a fly rod. Completely different. Pulling line, casting. This is completely different. So I don't think, unless you're a fly fisherman, you need to even get into this. It is a very fun way to fish. Good technique. If you want to, I know there's some channels out there. Look up fly fishing and you can really get in depth with this stuff. Mainly for trout, but you can also fly fish for any fish you want. I see a lot of fishing for fly fishing for saltwater, which I want to get into. So yeah, so fly fishing, if you see a reel like this, don't get it for your kid to start using in the backyard or the pond unless you know what you're trying to get them to use a fly reel. So I appreciate you all watching. Throw in the comments of what reel you started with. I think it's fun to see, and I bet most of them are Zebcos. Some kids did, you know, I bet, you know, as we move on, some of you younger people may have started with a Baitcaster. Your dad may have gave you a Baitcaster, but it's not how it works most of the time. You know, usually you throw a push button with a weedless, snagless lure and let them cast and have fun. So I appreciate you watching. Keep fishing, keep learning.